Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita, summarized text 39. Esa Devi Ita Sankhye. Buddhi Yogi Kimanshina. Buddhya Yukta Jaya Bhaktam. Esa Devi Ita Sankhye. Buddhi Yogi Kimanshina. Buddhya Yukta Jaya Bhaktam. Translation. Esa, all this say unto you, Abhita, describe something in analytical study, Buddhi, intelligence, yoga, involved without food without. Two, but this, Shinu, just here, Bhujya, by intelligence, Yukta, doctor, Saya, by which, Bhakta, person of Bhakta, Karma Bandhan, bondage of reaction, Bahasya sin. You can be released from. Translation and purport by Abhay Chandrin Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. This part I described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Start recording.
Recording in progress.
Thus I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without results. Person of Bhakti, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. I chose this verse because it is the sense of verse to understand the flow of doubt that Krishna is sharing with us in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In the purport, according to the Niyoti or the Vedic dictionary, Satya means that which describes things in detail, and Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul. And yoga involves controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification, forgetting his prime duty. He wanted to cease fighting because he thought that By not killing his relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins, the sons of Dhritarashtra. In both ways, the basic principles were for self-satisfaction. Happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on the basis of personal self-satisfaction, even at the sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna therefore wanted to explain to Arjuna that by killing the body of his grandfather, he would not be killing the soul proper. And he explained that all individual persons, including the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They were individuals in the past, they are individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future, because all of us are individual souls eternally. We simply change our body dress in different numbers, but actually we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. An analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna. And this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angles of vision has been described here as Sankhya, in terms of the Yogic dictionary. This Sankhya has nothing to do with Sankhya philosophy of the atheist Kapila. Long before the imposter Kapila Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it to his mother Devahute. It is clearly explained by him that the Purush or the Supreme Lord is active and that he creates by looking over the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description in the Vedas indicates that the Lord glanced over Prakriti or nature and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in the material world for sense gratification, and under the spell of the material energy, they are thinking of being enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord. This is the last name of Maya, or sense gratificatory illusion. And it is only after many births of such sense gratificatory activities that the great soul surrenders unto Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, thereby fulfilling the search after the absolute truth. Arjuna has already accepted Krishna as his spiritual master by surrendering unto him. Shishyastam Sadimam Tvam Pavanam. Consequently, Krishna will not tell about the walking process in Buddha Yoga or Karma Yoga, or in other words, the practice of devotional service only for the sense gratification of the Lord. The Buddha Yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, as being the direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. By such communion, but such communion does not take place without devotional service. One is therefore situated in devotional service, in devotional or transcendental loving service to the Lord, or in other words, in Krishna consciousness, attains the state of Buddha Yoga by special grace of the Lord. The Lord says, therefore, that only those who are always engaged in devotional service out of transcendental love, does he arrive at pure knowledge of devotion in love. In that way, the devotee can reach him easily in the ever blissful kingdom of God. Thus, Buddha Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord. And the word Sankhya mentioned here has nothing to do with the atheistic Sankhya Yoga enunciated by the imposter Kapila. One should not therefore misunderstand that Sankhya Yoga mentioned here has any connection with the atheistic atheistic Sankhya. Nor did that philosophy have any influence during that time. Nor would Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculations. Here, Sankhya philosophy is described by Lord Kapila and Srimad Bhagavatam, but even that Sankhya has nothing to do with the current topic. Here, Sankhya means analytical description of the body and the soul. Lord Krishna made an analytical description of the soul just to bring Arjuna to the point of Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Lord Krishna's Sankhya and Lord Kapila's Sankhya, as described in the Bhagavatam, are one and the same. They are all Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, therefore, that only the less intelligent man or class of men make a distinction between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is Padavanti Napani, which is chapter 5. Of course, atheistic yoga has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga. Yet the unintelligent claim that the atheistic Sankhya Yoga is referred to in the Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore understand that Buddhi Yoga means to walk in Krishna consciousness, in the full bliss and knowledge of the devotional service. When he walks for the satisfaction of the Lord only, however difficult such walk may be, is walking under the principles of Buddhi Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. But such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically by the grace of the Lord, and thus his liberation is complete in itself without making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. There's much difference between walk in Krishna consciousness and walk for fruitive results, especially in the matter of sense gratification, for achieving a result in terms of family or material happiness. Buddhi Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of walk that we perform. I'll read the first once again, going back. Thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of walking without fruitive results, personal freedom. When you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of God. Om Ayana Timanasya Chimanjana Sarvaitam Sarvuttam Bhagavatam Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Rama Krishna Param Sagamata Shri Krishna Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinu Bandhu Kate Gopesha Goparamta Namaste Tapta Kamsna Gauna Dira Devinda Nishre Vishvan Urbankato Pravisham Vikvans Vedasham Patnam Pavan Devopash Hare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jivadvaita Vedanta Srivasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna 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 Namaste Saraswati Devi Prabhupada Gacchami Nirvishesha Srimad Bhaskachan Desata Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Arjuna is an eternal associate of Lord Krishna. Prajanaya Sarvam Vinasaya Sudiskritam is one of the reasons for the appearance of Krishna in this world 5,000 years ago is to protect the devotees and to annihilate the demons, especially these kings who want to rule for their own sense gratification. and not out of duty. And the codes, most of the codes were in that case. They transgressed all the principles of religion. They tried to assert the kingdom, the legal inheritance of the Prabhavas, tried to disturb property and exile them to the forest, tried to poison them, and tried to burn them in a house of shellac. That so many ways they tried to murder the Pandavas. So there were criminals that a police officer must go after the criminals and not think, oh, I'm soft-hearted. I'm not going to arrest this person because he's a family member of my family members, and therefore he will never get a job anymore. He gets a criminal record. I'm not going to arrest him. No, police officer has to do his duty. Arjuna has to do his duty. But in the first chapter, Krishna says, Arjuna says to Krishna, please Krishna, bring my chariot between the two arms, so that I can see with whom I have to fight. That I can see all these supporters of the evil Duryodhana. And Krishna, that this line, this battle, the front line of the battlefield is like 80 miles. And where does Krishna put the chariot? Just before Duryodhana, before Vishnu, Devi's grandfather, before Dronacharya, his teacher. And when Arjuna sees them, something breaks in his heart and says to Krishna, how can I fight with them? Vishnu Deva has raised me, my grandfather, that Dronacharya, my teacher. Would you kill your teacher, Sandipani Muni, Krishna? How can I kill them? And gaining a kingdom. He says, in a manner, it is said that in the Manustamitra, that relatives cannot be killed. Anyway, it says it said in Ashta Shastra there, it said that yes, transgressors should be killed. But it says yes, the Dharma Shastra is higher. The Dharma Shastra says you cannot kill your family members. They say to Krishna, it's sinful to kill your family members. I will occur sin that and to win a kingdom, if I kill all those with whom I want to enjoy the kingdom, how can I enjoy it? That I see just misfortune. The opposite is going to happen from what I want. And so millions of Kshatriyas will be killed from the battlefield. So many widows will be there. And the population will become mixed. And the progeny will be degraded. Will be Varna Sankara. He gives one argument after another. And it looks like good arguments based on scripture. These arguments arguing. Dharma Shastra is argued on Artha Shastra. But Artha Shastra said transgressors should be killed. the Dharmasaka said the relatives should never be killed. It's like a bit like you come with your car at a crossroad. And in the middle of the crossroad is a police officer who is arranging the traffic. It's not, and there are also the traffic lights. Traffic lights are on red, but the police officer in the middle says, "Come." Who has priority? The police officer. But if Arjun comes up at the crossroad, it's red, and the police officer said, "Come." And he says, no, it's red, I'm not coming. So Arjun is mentioning all these shastras and this knowledge, but the origin of all these rules and knowledge is before him, the greatest authority. And he says, you must fight, Arjun. It's the weakness of heart that in the first verse of the second chapter, Krishna says, yes, the Arjun's compassion is compassion for the body, not for the soul. It's compassion for a drowning man and to save his coat. So Arjun looks like, from a mundane perspective, a nice man. But Krishna, his reaction is very heavy. He says that where are these impurities coming into your heart, Arjun? It does not fit an Aryan, a person who knows the values of life. That it's Reda Dharmalya, weakness of heart. And Arjun becomes confused. He said, it makes it feel more argument. He said, how can I kill my teacher and my grandfather, that they are worthy of my worship? So Krishna decides, Arjuna decides, I will not fight Krishna. I don't see it anymore. But it says, Arjuna says, I surrender to you, Krishna. I don't see it anymore. I'm confused. You tell me what to do. And then Krishna tells him, Arjuna, you are a fool. That's the first thing. Chastisement. Krishna takes the role of Skirpamata. You are a fool. Because a wise man is not concerned with the living or the dead. He says, because all these things here, you and me, Arjuna, have existed in the past, are existing now, and will never cease to exist in the future. It's that's the first lesson in spirituality. We are eternal. We are the soul. But then Krishna tells the good news. In the next verse, he gives the bad news. He said, but you have a body, Arjuna. Your body changes from youth to adult, and then old age, and then it vanishes. It changes the body, but within the body are not changing. You must become a deer, you must tolerate all these changes. And that's our first instruction, and very important, also for chanting of the holy name. We must be more tolerant than free. First instruction, not as fast contact, it is not you could put out in resistance. Arjuna, you should tolerate, like when tolerate the heat in the summer, the cold in the winter. You should tolerate this happiness and this stress. That's for the body, Arjuna, not for the soul. You tolerate it. Because Yamina Yatanti Pusham Pushata Agama Parinanajas. Some look at some touch by it, some touch by a God. If you can tolerate happiness and distress, you are ready for liberation. And then Krishna speaks about this Sankhya philosophy, which is here in the perfect service first. Sankhya philosophy is not it's a detailed analysis Krishna gives of all the qualities of the soul, our real identity. That Krishna says the body is like a garment for the soul. That the soul cannot be killed by any weapons in your chariot. You cannot kill the soul. That you think you are going to kill Bhishmadev? No. Bhishmadev as a very old body, he was already 140, 120 years. People lived longer at that time. That he was very old. That so if you kill him, you get a fresh body. It's much better than the old body. There's no reason to lament. That the soul, Krishna says, has never come into being. That it exists now and it will never cease to stop in the future, he says. That so he gives all this knowledge of the soul, and he says, yeah, this soul is amazing. That the soul is amazing. The people who understand the soul are also amazing. Because many people, although this knowledge is there in Bhagavad Gita, cannot understand it, that they are not the body. That it's amazing. It's amazing that the soul is in an ant, the same soul is in a big elephant. Very amazing. That so then, after explaining that, Krishna goes back to Arjuna's objections he made. Krishna said, because Arjuna before said, when I win a kingdom, then I will not be able to enjoy it. And Arjuna says, if you win a kingdom, you win the battle, you will enjoy the kingdom. But if you lose the battle, you will go to heaven. Krishna gives a win-win option. And he said, you should do your duty as a Kshatriya. Because dishonor is worse than death for a Kshatriya. That don't think that Duryodhana and all the other gurus, the great Maharajas, will think, oh, Arjuna is so good person with compassion for others, and therefore he left the battlefield. No, they will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear of your life. That so you should do your duty as a Kshatriya, but not just doing your duty. That you do your duty in a certain consciousness. And that's explained in the verse today. So Krishna before us gave all this knowledge of the soul. That you are the soul. Now, Buddha Yoga means acting as a soul and not as the body. And Prabhupada, in the Prabhupada said, this is devotional service, Buddhi Yoga. That it brings it immediately to the highest platform, acting as a spirit soul is devotional service. Very important. That this word Buddhi Yoga is also in a later verse in Bhagavad Gita, verse 10:10. Which says, Desham Sattva Number Something will come, the Dhammi Buddhi Yoga. If you serve me with love, a little love, I'm giving you Buddhi Yoga. Self-realized knowledge how to act as a spirit soul. Because with that self-realized knowledge, what is self-realized knowledge? Desham and Panakampakam, Amma Jnana Sampranam, Nasachama, Avavastakam, Krishna says, with the lamp of knowledge, I enter the heart of my devotee and remove all the contamination so that the devotee again identifies with the soul, not as the body. To act as a soul, you must identify with the soul. That's not easy. We are, for many lifetimes, we are thinking we are the body. And then you have to act as a soul, but you must know what is the soul. So Arjuna, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you should act as a soul. You should do your duty in devotional service with that consciousness. Now, Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita to different levels of transcendentalists. Krishna is compassionate by nature. He wants to inspire everyone to make advancement on this level, even those who are not accepting Krishna as the Supreme Lord. And therefore, he gives different yoga systems called Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Astanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So these are, but Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Astanga Yoga have intermediate goals. That's not the final goal. But he wants also those who are not accepting as the Lord, that he wants them to make also spiritual advancement. The Jnanis, mostly their goal of life is Brahman. They are spiritual energy. And merging with that spiritual energy, Brahman, that's becoming one with the absolute truth. That's how the impersonalists. Mostly the Jnanis. That's their goal. And then you have the yogis. The yogis, what's their goal? Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. Chidatmana Prashantasma Paramatma Samahita. Then is to control the mind. And when the mind is fully peaceful, then one finds the super soul in the heart. This is the bona fide yogi, their goal. And the bhaktas, their goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, developing love for Krishna. That's their goal. It's explained in the Bhagavatam, these three goals, also in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavatam, it is said that there you find this. The Lord sages that concluded that the absolute truth has three features, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. But in Brahman, you realize only the sub-feature of the absolute truth, eternal. And in the Paramatma preacher, also the Lord also sits some knowledge about the absolute truth. But in the Bhagavan feature, if we realize the Supreme Lord, we have such ananda, spirit of bliss. That's what we all want. We want to be to love and be loved. That is what we all want. In material world, we don't attain that. Only in relation to Krishna we attain that Buddha. That's ananda. That is happiness without interruption. And that is the goal of life. But not everyone accepts that. Because Krishna is concerned with these yogis and these jnanis, so they also make advancement. Because at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarvam Vishya Mantam Sammacham Sarvapabhu. That it says, Moshe Manchita, it says, give up all this yoga system, just surrender to me, just do this back. So he could have made Bhagavad Gita very short. That all these chapters about Karma Yoga, about Jnana Yoga, and Sangha Yoga, cut them out and go immediately to the conclusion that so Krishna here is starting to explain how to act as a spirit soul. That and he gives a lot of knowledge in this second chapter. That he explains the cause of falling down. Dayadev Shyamcham Sangas Hishvacharite Sangasayate Kamankampo, that Vichayate. One becomes attracted to things in this world by meditation, want to enjoy. Then the so-called enjoyment comes, but it does not meet our expectations. We become frustrated, we become angry, and so on. But to come out of this, Krishna says, in fact, one is to have a higher taste. And it's very dangerous. One of the Roman senses can kill you. So therefore, you must do your duty, Arjuna, without being attached to the results. That's Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga may not believe in Krishna, maybe in Brahma, but they perform Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga you have on different levels. The lowest level is performing your duty, the Varnashram Dharma, and you may not believe in God, that's okay, you do your duty. But the whole system is meant for Haritoshanam, for pleasing the Supreme Lord. So you are in the system. That's an indirect process. But Karma Yoga has different levels, and the next level is 3-9 of Bhagavad Gita. That Shaknata Karma Noyata Lokyam Karma. You do your duty for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, for Vishnu. And then you don't have karmic reactions. Because that was one of the points Arjuna made. I'm going to get karmic reactions. That I'm going to suffer. I'm going to hell. No, Krishna says, if you don't do your duty, you get karma. If you do your duty, you don't get karma. So that's the opposite. And then further, he gives, Arjuna is asking what are the symptoms of such the stita prajna devotee, a devotee who is fixed in this Buddhi Yoga. And until the end of the chapter, second chapter, he gives so many qualities of the stita prajna. But this Karma Yoga, the lowest level is doing your duty, acting out of duty. The second, so it means devout attachment to the result. It's not easy to do that. But devotion service is most simple. But then the next level is Chakrati Kamanoyata Lokam Kamavana. You do your duty and you give the result to Krishna. It means while doing your duty, you may not think of Krishna, but okay, you give it to Krishna, the result. But then Krishna later will say a higher form of karma yoga is yat karus yat asnas yat karus tadas yat tapasya skampya tatus namakarpana. Whatever you do, you walk, whatever charity you do, whatever tapasya, do it as an offering to me. To Krishna said, you do your job itself for me. Not just the result giving, also the job. And then he says, Patam Pushpantam, Yori Bhakya Prachati. That's it says, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, that he says, offer me a flower, a fruit, and some water out of love. So that is Bhakti Yoga. That's the highest Karma Yoga. And that Karma Yoga becomes Bhakti Yoga. But that's the goal of the whole thing. So Prabhupada in this verse that we discussed today says Buddhi Yoga is Bhakti Yoga. That's the purpose. And because the others, they have all intermediate goals. Because if you do your act out of duty for Krishna, if you just act out of duty, there's no Krishna, you don't think of Krishna, you may be an atheist, but you do your duty without attachment to the results. You don't have reactions. You don't get karma. And that purifies you a bit. And the karma yogi then, after some time, a little, because the soul is in the body, and from the soul comes consciousness. The pure consciousness is called Krishna consciousness. But it's covered by the modes of nature. And by doing that, a little covering is removed. And then they start to think, who am I? First thing, why am I suffering? Prabhupada Goswami said, Sanatana Goswami said, why am I suffering? Why am I in this world? Who am I? Good question. And then they come to the next yoga, Jnana Yoga. Because Karma Yoga has two qualities. It's action, Karma Yoga, and renunciation. You don't want results. But then they become Jnanis. They want to know who they are. That most people are not interested in. It's a Karma Yoga. It's good. They come to the point of thinking, who am I? And then they become Jnanis, they study Vedanta to understand the difference between matter and spirit. I'm spirit. I'm not my hand, I'm not my head. I'm the most subtle, I'm not my mind, and that's so material. And they try to come to the right conclusion. It can take many verbs, but this Jnana Yoga is also a yoga system, and there's two qualities. Cultivation of knowledge, and renunciation, but there's no action anymore. But after a long time, they come to the conclusion, I'm a soul, I'm not the body. And then they think, no, I want to experience to be a soul. I want to have the experience. And then they become yogis. They go to the next yogis. And the yogis, Astanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, Asham, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharam, and up to Samadhi. that they are practicing, and this practice of yoga has three qualities. It's also in knowledge. You must know you are a soul, not a body, because you want to experience the soul. There's some knowledge that I'm not a body, that can lead to liberation. It's not self-realization, liberation, just the state that. And there's a third characteristic, it's meditation. They meditate on the super soul in the heart. That's what Krishna says, the highest yogi, yoginam apisarvam mathyam karnam pachte teme tatamam mandana. Highest yogi is one who finds me in the heart, but then he must develop love for me. So these yogis, when they find the Paramatma in the heart, then what do? It's nice to see Paramatma, they say why, and they understand also the Paramatma is control of material nature. What happens? You stay here, that's all. Then they must come to the understanding of this is Paramatma. Krishna Bhagavad Gita says, I'm Paramatma. It's an expansion of Krishna. So then they must go to the next stage in the yoga life and become a Bhakti yoga. And devotional service has 5 characteristics. It is action, the soul must be active. It's completely renounced because the devotees know everything belongs to Krishna, not to me. So I'm not attached, it's all to Krishna. And I use it in his service. Just renunciation. Knowledge, full knowledge of who Krishna is, who we are, and what our relationship is. And it is meditation also. And it has a 5th aspect, devotion. It has the complete yoga has 5 qualities. And you need that devotion to go back to the spiritual world. That's your passport. Without that, you cannot go. So I try to explain all this. This is explained in the 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, 5th chapter, 6th chapter. I gave overview of the first 6 chapters, which is not easy to understand, and I hope only that my explanation helped you to understand that a little more deeper. And yeah, I hope I did not confuse you. Hare Krishna. Any questions, points? Yeah, 2 minutes.
The Jnana Yoga is said knowledge, and what is the second part?
Renunciation.
Renunciation.
Yeah, they want they want to know that they want to realize I'm not this body. So they want to give up the body and all the connections. They want to renounce it. But it's an illusion, this kind of renunciation. Because these yogis, they want to give up not only their body, but also their house, their wife, they say, I'm giving up my house, my wife, my children, my possessions. But it's wrong, because nothing is theirs from the beginning. We don't have nothing to announce it belongs all to Krishna, based on the holy concept. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, maybe there's one last question. Yeah.
So Maharaj, you mentioned that if you do your duty, there is no karma. Can you expand on that?
Please. Say it again.
Maharaj, you mentioned that one of the point that if you do your duty, there is no karma. You can expand on that.
Yeah, you must do your duty out of a sense of duty, mostly people in this world, they're going to do something, they're accepting a job to get the salary. They will not accept a job without getting the salary. They have a motivation. But that should not be, the salary may be there, but that should not be the motivation of our actions. Therefore, the devotee may get the salary, but he does his job not for the boss. He does it for Krishna. You don't have to tell your boss, but internally, you must do it for Krishna, and therefore it must be first class. It's an offering to Krishna. It's internally our motivation to do things. That makes the difference. The Krishna consciousness means changing our desires. It's that the desire to exploit the lower energy, the higher energy, that's our problem. They become overrun by this lower energy. That instead of doing that, we should connect with the higher energy. And we connect with our desires. The soul desires. That if the soul desires to exploit this world, you get karma. If you act out of love for Krishna without asking something in return, no karma. That's essence. Thank you very much. That's John Shima Bhagavad-gita, Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. Jai. Let's express our gratitude.